Hey guys, so I have here my Jabra Evolve 65 headsets, and a couple of days ago the following happened. So you can see here the ear pad cushion started to come apart, and now you can see the foam here, the yellow foam underneath. So and the funny part is this happened for both sides pretty much at the same time. Now instead of simply buying new ear pads, I decided to take a closer look and see what actually the problem is with these ear pad cushions and if we are eventually able to repair them so that we don't have to buy new ones. Now I start out by removing the ear pads from the ear cups, and in order to do that you just kind of peel this rubber ring here on the outside off of the ear cup. And I'm doing this really careful so that the ear pads are not getting more damaged than they already are. Now when we take a closer look, we can see that the ear pads are pretty much made out of two components. And that is, for one, the synthetic leather that's outside that touches our ear. And then there's also this rubber ring that holds the ear pad to the ear cup so that it doesn't fall off. Now we see here that the rubber ring and the leather are separating from each other. See here, there's this little seam here, and that those two parts used to be glued together. And it seems like the glue has deteriorated and doesn't stick anymore, so now the two parts come apart. Now in order to fix the situation, we can try to apply some glue in between those two parts to make them stick together again. Now you can see here the contact points are very tiny, so it's a really thin seam here in between. And I'm going to use some super glue. So you see here, this is what I'm going to use here, Scotch super glue. You can probably also use other glues like Gorilla Glue or something, but this is something that I have at home here, and this used to work for me pretty well. So at first I'm just applying a tiny dot here, just a small area on the rubber. You see this area where the old glue used to be. I'm just adding some of that super glue here, and I do this to have just a small starting point where I know it's not going to come apart anymore here once we're going to work our way around. I'm going to attach this to the leather portion. I'm just going to overlap them, and I'm going to hold those for a couple of seconds or like a minute just to give them some time for the glue to harden. And then I'm starting to actually cover a bigger portion here of the rubber with the super glue. So I'm going down just about an inch. Worked pretty well for me, so I'm going to cover this whole area all the way down, and afterwards I'm going to start to overlap that area with the leather so that it sticks, the two components stick together again. And by the way, I actually fast forward this video right now a little bit. I'm not really working this fast here with the glue. And then eventually I worked most of my way around here, and then we discover this situation. So there's too much of the leather material over, so there's some overlap, and what are we going to do with this? So I ended up just adding glue here in the entire area, and then I simply overlap everything here. So you see, I'm going to glue everything here together, and that way it's I don't have to cut anything out or so. It's just the leather just stretched over time, so that it just got bigger than the ring actually, so I need to do something with it, and this ended up working pretty well for me. Now since there were still some areas that I did not add any glue yet, I'm going to test those out just to make sure that the original glue doesn't give up in those spots anytime soon. So I'm going to pull there a little bit, but those seems to be still pretty sturdy. So after fixing the first ear pad, I actually started working on the second one, and so in the meantime the first one could dry for a while, and afterwards now I start to put the ear pads back onto the ear cups, and I ended up rotating those areas that you can see here, the overlapping ones. I'm just rotating those all the way to the bottom because they're kind of hidden. You don't really see them there, and you don't feel them when you're wearing the headsets, so they are really not in the way at all, and I don't notice them. Yeah, so let's do the same thing with the second ear cup too, and afterwards we're already done. So we didn't have to buy new ear pads, so we saved some money here, and it seems to still work really well. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. If you have any more questions or comments, then please leave a message below.